I'm Ellen, 29, been here 3 years, started right after college, work in the client relations department, decent salary, good benefits. Lately, though, something feels off in the office. Can't quite put my finger on it, but the atmosphere seems different. Monday morning, walking into the break room to grab coffee. Notice Henry and David having a conversation near the vending machine. They see me coming and immediately stop talking. Both give me these weird, polite nods and suddenly find their phones very interesting. Strange, but whatever. Maybe they were discussing something confidential. Sit down at my desk, start reviewing client files. Need to coordinate with the IT department about updating our CRM system. Walk over to Jake's cubicle in the tech section. He's usually pretty friendly. We've chatted about weekend plans before. Hey Jake, got a minute to discuss the system updates? He barely looks up from his screen. Sure. What do you need specifically for the project? His tone is completely professional, almost robotic. I explain the technical requirements. He gives short, direct answers. No small talk, no usual banter about how his weekend was. Finish the conversation feeling weirdly dismissed. Later that afternoon, heading to the water cooler. Overhear a group of guys from accounting laughing about something. As soon as they spot me approaching, the laughter dies. Hey everyone, what's so funny? Awkward silence for like 10 seconds. Finally, Tom speaks up. Oh, just discussing quarterly reports. Clearly wasn't what they were talking about, but okay. Fill up my water bottle while they all stand there in uncomfortable silence. Walk away feeling like I interrupted something important. Tuesday comes around. Same weird energy. Trying to organize the monthly client presentation. Need input from several department heads who are all men. Schedule a meeting with Robert from sales, Michael from operations, and Alex from marketing. They all show up on time, very professional. But something feels different from our usual collaborative meetings. Everyone speaks only when directly asked a question. No brainstorming, no casual jokes, no side conversations, just straight business, minimal eye contact. Meeting ends 20 minutes early because nobody has anything additional to contribute. Walking back to my desk, can't shake this feeling. Realize that over the past few weeks, none of the guys in the office have initiated casual conversation with me. No more. How was your weekend? Or did you see that game last night? No more invitations to grab lunch or join after work drinks. It's like they've all collectively decided to maintain this professional distance. Decide to test my theory. Spot Daniel from HR near the elevator. He's always been chatty. Approach him with a smile. Hey Daniel, how's everything going? Fine, thanks. How can I help you today? I wait for him to ask how I'm doing or mention something personal. He just stands there waiting for me to state my business. Oh, I was just saying hi, making conversation. Okay, well, I need to get back to work. Have a good day, Ellen. Elevator arrives. He gets on without another word. This is definitely intentional. Start paying closer attention to how they interact with each other versus how they interact with me. Watch Henry and David joking around by the printer. As soon as I walk over to use the machine, they both nod politely and walk away. See Jake helping Sarah from accounting with her computer. They're laughing and being friendly. When I approach to ask Jake about a different tech issue, his demeanor immediately shifts to formal business mode. By Wednesday, I'm getting seriously frustrated. This silent treatment is affecting my ability to do my job effectively. So many of our projects require cross-departmental collaboration. The lack of casual rapport is making everything more difficult and awkward. Decide I need to address this head-on. Spot Michael from operations eating lunch alone in the cafeteria. Perfect opportunity for a private conversation. Sit down across from him with my salad. Hey, Michael. Can we talk for a minute? He looks up warily. Sure. What's on your mind? I've noticed things seem different around the office lately. Everyone seems very distant. He takes a sip of his coffee, clearly uncomfortable. I'm not sure what you mean, Ellen. Everything seems normal to me. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Nobody talks to me anymore, unless it's strictly work-related. He shifts in his seat. Well, that's how it should be in a professional environment, right? His tone has an edge to it that I don't like. Michael, we used to have normal human interactions. Chat about movies, share stories about our weekends. Now everyone treats me like I have some kind of disease. He puts down his sandwich and looks directly at me. Ellen, Do you really want to have this conversation? Yes, I do. I want to understand what's going on. He takes a deep breath. Fine. You want honesty? Here it is. We're all walking on eggshells around you because every casual comment gets turned into some kind of social justice lecture. I feel my blood pressure rising. That's not true. I just point out when things are problematic. Ellen, 3 weeks ago. I mentioned that my wife packed me a great lunch, and you spent 15 minutes explaining how that comment reinforces domestic gender roles and perpetuates the expectation that women should be responsible for household labor. Well, it does. These things matter, Michael. It was a throwaway comment about a sandwich, Ellen. I was just trying to make conversation. He's getting more animated now, clearly frustrated. And last month, when Alex mentioned he was excited about the football game, you launched into this whole thing about how sports culture promotes toxic masculinity and violence, because it does. These patterns are everywhere if you just open your eyes. Ellen? The man was talking about enjoying a recreational activity. Not every single thing needs to be analyzed through this lens. He's definitely raising his voice now. Other people in the cafeteria are starting to look over. So you're saying I should just ignore systematic oppression and problematic behavior? I'm saying maybe, just maybe, not every conversation needs to be a teachable moment about social issues. He stands up abruptly. You know what? This is exactly why nobody wants to talk to you anymore. Excuse me. We can't say anything without being accused of perpetuating some form of injustice. Do you have any idea how exhausting that is? I stand up, too, feeling defensive. I'm sorry if pointing out reality makes you uncomfortable, Michael. Reality. Ellen, you told Robert from sales that his comment about his daughter's dance recital was reinforcing harmful beauty standards for young girls because he said she looked pretty in her costume. Well, focusing solely on appearance rather than skill or effort does send problematic messages. He's a proud father talking about his kid. Several people are definitely staring now. Michael, you need to lower your voice. No, Ellen, I'm done lowering my voice. I'm done tiptoeing around your feelings while you systematically analyze and criticize every word that comes out of our mouths. I don't do that. Yes, you absolutely do. Tom from accounting can't mention taking his son fishing without getting a lecture about how outdoor activities are gendered and exclude women. Well, they often are. Ellen, he was bonding with his child. Michael is really worked up now. His face is red. You've made it impossible to have normal human conversations. Every single interaction becomes this minefield where we're constantly being judged and corrected. Maybe if you examined your unconscious biases. There it is right there. You can't help yourself. He grabs his lunch tray. This is why we stick to work topics with you, Ellen. Because anything else gets turned into an education session that none of us signed up for. He storms off, leaving me sitting there. Several people are still looking in my direction. I feel my cheeks burning with embarrassment and anger. How dare he make me look bad in front of everyone? And how dare he act like I'm the problem when I'm just trying to create awareness? Spend the rest of the day fuming about Michael's outburst. Can't concentrate on work. Keep replaying the conversation. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Decide I need to talk to someone else to get a different perspective. Thursday morning, I corner Jake by the coffee machine. Jake, can I ask you something? He immediately tenses up. What do you need, Ellen? I had this conversation with Michael yesterday, and I want to understand something. Okay. Do you think I'm difficult to talk to? He stops what he's doing and looks at me with this expression I can't read. Ellen, do you really want my honest opinion? Yes, absolutely. He glances around to make sure we're alone. You want the truth? Fine. Yes. You are extremely difficult to talk to. I feel like he just slapped me. What do you mean by that? I mean that every conversation with you turns into some kind of interrogation about my thoughts, my words, my motivations. That's not true. Last week, I mentioned that I helped my neighbor fix her car, and you spent 20 minutes questioning whether I assumed she couldn't do it herself because she's a woman. I remember that conversation differently. I was just encouraging you to examine your assumptions. Ellen, she literally asked for my help because I'm a mechanic in my spare time. It had nothing to do with gender, but the way you told the story, the way I told the story, was factual. You're the one who read subtext into it that wasn't there. Jake is clearly getting frustrated too. And the month before that, when I said I was tired after staying up late playing video games, you gave me this whole lecture about how gaming culture is hostile to women. Well, it is. That's a documented fact. Ellen, I play puzzle games and city builders by myself. I wasn't even talking about online gaming or anything competitive, but by participating in gaming culture. See, you're doing it right now. He steps closer, lowering his voice, but speaking more intensely. You cannot let anything go. You have to turn every single comment into some broader social commentary. Because these things are connected, Jake. Individual actions contribute to larger patterns. Maybe they do, Ellen, but maybe sometimes people just want to share a story without being psychoanalyzed. I can feel myself getting defensive again. So you want me to just ignore problematic elements in everyday interactions? I want you to consider that not everything is problematic. Sometimes people are just living their lives without hidden agendas or unconscious biases. But unconscious bias exists whether you acknowledge it or not. Jesus Christ. Ellen, do you hear yourself? Jake runs his hands through his hair in frustration. You literally cannot have a normal conversation. Everything has to be filtered through this framework where everyone else is wrong and you're the enlightened one pointing out their flaws. That's not how I see it. That's exactly how you see it. And that's exactly how you come across. He's really animated now, gesturing with his hands. David mentioned he was going to help his elderly mother with groceries, and you questioned whether he was othering her by assuming she needed assistance. Well, ageism is a real issue. She's 83 and has arthritis. His voice echoes off the walls. Jake, please keep your voice down. No, Ellen, I won't keep my voice down. I'm tired of keeping my voice down while you systematically make everyone in this office feel like criminals for existing. That's a complete exaggeration. Is it? When's the last time anyone invited you to lunch? When's the last time someone told you a personal story? When's the last time anyone asked about your weekend? The questions hit me like physical blows. I realize I can't remember the last time any of those things happened. That's not my fault. Isn't it, Ellen? You've trained us to avoid personal conversations with you because they always end with us being lectured or corrected. Jake picks up his papers from the copy machine. Henry mentioned he was excited about his anniversary dinner with his wife, and you spent 30 minutes explaining how expensive restaurants are, classist, and how romantic gestures often mask power imbalances in relationships. Well, they can. He was happy about his marriage. Ellen? I opened my mouth to respond, but he cuts me off. And when Alex said he was proud of his son making the baseball team, you questioned why he wasn't equally promoting opportunities for daughters in sports. Representation matters. His son made the team. He was sharing good news about his kid. Jake is practically shouting now. Every single positive thing, every small joy, every casual comment gets turned into a lesson about what we're doing wrong or what we should be thinking about instead. I'm just trying to raise awareness. You're not raising awareness, Ellen. You're sucking the life out of every interaction. He heads toward the door, and that's why nobody talks to you anymore, because talking to you isn't fun. It's not relaxing. It's not enjoyable. It's work. Exhausting, frustrating work. He stands in the doorway for a moment. We come to the office to do our jobs, Ellen. We don't come here to be constantly evaluated and found wanting by someone who thinks she's morally superior to everyone else. He walks away, leaving me standing alone by the copy machine. I spend the rest of Thursday in a daze. I keep thinking about what Jake said. I start to notice things I hadn't before. I watch the easy way the guys interact with each other. I see how they joke around with the women in other departments. I realize that I'm the only one being treated with this cold, professional distance. Friday morning, I decide I need to have one more conversation. I spot Robert from sales getting coffee in the break room. He's always seemed reasonable. Maybe he can help me understand. Robert, could I talk to you for a minute? He immediately looks uncomfortable. Sure, Ellen. What's up? I've been having some conversations this week about office dynamics, and I wanted to get your perspective. He pours his coffee slowly, not making eye contact. What kind of perspective? Well, several people have suggested that I'm difficult to communicate with, and I wanted to understand if that's how you see it. He stops stirring his coffee and looks directly at me. Ellen, are you sure you want to have this conversation? Yes, I think it's important. He takes a deep breath. Okay. Yes, you are extremely difficult to communicate with. Even though I was expecting this answer, it still stings. Can you give me specific examples? Do you remember the conversation we had about my daughter's dance recital? You mentioned that she looked pretty in her costume, right? And what did you say in response? I think back to that conversation. I pointed out that focusing on appearance rather than skill sends problematic messages to young girls. Ellen, I had just spent 2 hours watching my 7-year-old daughter perform something she'd been practicing for months. I was proud of her. I thought she looked beautiful. I wanted to share that with a colleague. Robert's voice is getting tighter. Instead of just saying that's sweet, or how nice, or even just nodding and smiling, you turned it into a lecture about beauty standards and patriarchal conditioning. But those issues are real. Of course they're real, Ellen. But in that moment, I was just a dad, talking about his kid. He sets down his coffee mug harder than necessary. Do you have any idea how that felt? To have someone take my pride in my daughter and twist it into evidence of my harmful parenting? That wasn't my intention. But that's what you did. You took my joy and made it about my failures. Robert is getting more emotional. And it's not just me, Ellen. You do this to everyone. Tom can't mention fishing with his son without getting a lecture about gendered activities. Alex can't talk about sports without being told he's promoting toxic masculinity. These patterns exist whether we acknowledge them or not. But why does every conversation have to be about patterns, Ellen? Why can't some conversations just be about people sharing their lives? He steps closer, his voice rising. David mentioned he was cooking dinner for his girlfriend's birthday, and you questioned whether he was trying to perform masculinity by taking over traditionally feminine tasks. Well, there are complex dynamics. He was making her favorite meal because he loves her. Robert is clearly angry now. Henry said he was looking forward to his vacation, and you asked whether he'd considered the environmental impact of air travel and the privilege inherent in leisure tourism. Those are valid concerns. They're not relevant to every single conversation. His face is red, hands clenched. Do you understand what you've done, Ellen? You've made it impossible for any of us to share anything personal, positive, or meaningful without being made to feel guilty about it. I'm just encouraging critical thinking. You're not encouraging anything. You're attacking. Every story becomes evidence of our moral failings. I feel my own anger rising. So you want me to just ignore injustice and problematic behavior? I want you to recognize that not everything is injustice and not every behavior is problematic. He's practically yelling now. I want you to understand that sometimes people are just living their lives without hidden agendas or unconscious biases. But unconscious bias, stop. Just stop, Ellen. This is exactly what everyone's talking about. He points at me accusingly. You cannot let anything go. You cannot just accept that sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Robert takes a shaky breath. Jake told me about your conversation yesterday. Michael told me about what happened in the cafeteria. Do you know what they said? What? They said you couldn't even acknowledge what you were doing. Even when they explained it to you directly, you kept doing it. He starts pacing back and forth. And you're doing it right now. I'm standing here telling you that you've made everyone in this office miserable to talk to, and you're still trying to justify it by talking about social justice, because these issues matter. Ellen, we matter too. His voice cracks slightly. Our feelings matter. Our experiences matter. Our right to share good news without being psychoanalyzed matters. But no buts, no lectures, no explanations about systemic this or unconscious that. Robert is breathing heavily, clearly emotional. You've sucked the joy out of this workplace for everyone. No one can share anything positive without being made to feel guilty. No one can express pride or happiness without being corrected. I'm just trying to create awareness. You're creating misery, Ellen. You're making everyone around you miserable. He grabs his coffee and heads for the door. And the worst part is that you still don't get it. Even now, even after multiple people have told you exactly what you're doing wrong, you still think you're right. And we're all just too ignorant to appreciate your wisdom. He pauses in the doorway. Well, here's some wisdom for you. Being technically right doesn't give you the right to make everyone else feel terrible. And that's all you've accomplished here. You haven't changed any minds or raised any consciousness. You've just made a bunch of people who used to enjoy your company learn to avoid you. He walks out, leaving me alone in the break room. I stand there for several minutes, processing what just happened. 3 different men, 3 separate conversations, all saying basically the same thing. They're all angry, frustrated, resentful. They all feel like I've been attacking them, judging them, making them miserable. I walk back to my desk in a daze. I sit down and really look around the office for the first time in weeks. I notice how animated and friendly everyone is with each other. I see the easy laughter, the casual conversations, the relaxed body language. I see how all of that disappears whenever I approach. I realize that Robert was right. I can't remember the last time someone shared good news with me. I can't remember the last time someone told me a funny story or asked for my opinion on something personal. I can't remember the last time anyone seemed genuinely happy to see me. I spend the rest of Friday replaying all these conversations in my head, thinking about specific examples they mentioned, starting to see how my responses might have come across, beginning to understand why they all stopped including me. But the more I think about it, the angrier I get, not at myself, but at them. How dare they make me feel guilty for caring about social justice? How dare they act like I'm the problem when I'm trying to make the world better? How dare they prioritize their comfort over addressing real issues? By the end of the day, I've worked myself into a righteous fury. These men are clearly threatened by a woman who speaks truth to power. They're uncomfortable being called out on their privilege and unconscious biases. They want to maintain the status quo, where they can say whatever they want without consequences. Monday morning, I walk into the office with renewed determination. I notice the same cold, professional distance from everyone. But now I understand it differently. This isn't about my communication style. This is about their inability to handle being challenged. I see Michael at his desk and decide to approach him. I need to set the record straight after our cafeteria confrontation. Michael, I've been thinking about our conversation last week. He looks up warily. Ellen, I really don't want to get into this again. Well, I do. I think some things need to be clarified. I sit down in the chair next to his desk without being invited. I've realized that what you and the others are really upset about isn't my communication style. It's the content of what I'm saying. Ellen, please. You're uncomfortable being made aware of your unconscious biases and problematic behaviors. Michael stops typing and turns to face me. Are you serious right now? Completely serious. I've thought about this all weekend and I understand what's really happening here. Enlighten me. You want to maintain a workplace environment where you can express casual sexism, classism, and other forms of discrimination without being called out. Michael's face is already turning red. Ellen, that is not. Let me finish. When I point out the problematic elements in your comments, you feel attacked because you're being forced to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. That's not what's happening. It absolutely is. And rather than doing the difficult work of examining your privilege and changing your behavior, you've all decided to ostracize me. Michael stands up abruptly. Ellen, you are completely delusional. Excuse me? You think this is about us being uncomfortable with social justice? You think we're threatened by your activism? He's starting to attract attention from other cubicles. Ellen, this is about you being insufferable to be around. This is about you making everyone miserable with your constant criticism and judgment. I don't make anyone miserable. I point out problematic behavior. Those are the same thing. You make people miserable by constantly telling them they're terrible. Several people are openly watching now. Michael, I think you need to examine why being asked to consider social justice issues makes you so angry. I'm angry because you won't listen. I'm angry because even when multiple people tell you exactly what you're doing wrong, you refuse to acknowledge it. He's really shouting now. I'm angry because you've turned this office into a hostile environment where no one can relax or be themselves. If being yourself means expressing problematic views, then maybe you should examine that. There it is again. Michael throws his hands up in the air. You literally cannot stop. Even when I'm explaining to you why everyone avoids you, you're still lecturing me. I'm not lecturing. I'm trying to help you understand. I don't want your help, Ellen. Plus, the entire office is silent now. Everyone's staring. None of us want your help. So you want me to just ignore injustice? I want you to understand that not everything is injustice. I want you to grasp that sometimes people are just trying to have normal human conversations. Michael is pacing now, clearly beyond frustrated. But you can't do that, can you? You can't just let people exist without analyzing and criticizing every word they say. These patterns exist whether we acknowledge them or not. Patterns. It's always about patterns with you. He stops pacing and points directly at me. Henry is proud of his son's soccer team. Pattern of toxic masculinity. David helps his neighbor. Pattern of assumed female helplessness. Robert loves his daughter. Pattern of objectification. Those interpretations aren't wrong. They're not relevant. Michael is practically screaming now. Sometimes Henry is just a proud dad. Sometimes David is just being helpful. Sometimes Robert is just expressing love. But within larger social contexts. Forget the larger social context. He slams his hand on his desk. Forget the patterns and the frameworks and the systematic analysis. Can you just let people be happy about their lives without making them feel guilty? I don't make anyone feel guilty. Yes, you do. That's exactly what you do. That's all you do. Several people have gathered around watching this confrontation. Michael turns to address them. Does everyone hear this? She still doesn't get it. Even after everything we've told her, she still thinks she's right, and we're all wrong. He turns back to me. Ellen, you have made this workplace toxic. You have made everyone afraid to share anything personal or positive because they know you'll find something wrong with it. I'm trying to create awareness. You're creating misery. You're making people hate coming to work. I stand up feeling attacked and defensive. Michael, I think you're overreacting. Overreacting? Overreacting. He laughs bitterly. Ellen, Jake told me he's considering transferring to another department just to get away from you. That hits me unexpectedly hard. What? Tom from accounting asked HR if there was any way to avoid working on projects with you. Alex from marketing has started eating lunch in his car so he doesn't have to worry about running into you in the cafeteria. I feel my face burning. That's ridiculous. Is it? Robert told me his wife asked him why he's been coming home stressed every day, and he said it's because he never knows when he might accidentally say something that will trigger one of your lectures. Michael steps closer. David said he stopped talking about his family entirely because he's tired of having his relationship psychoanalyzed. Henry said he pretends to be busy whenever he sees you approaching. Each revelation feels like a physical blow. They're all being dramatic. They're all miserable, Ellen. You've made everyone in this office miserable. That's not my fault. It is entirely your fault. His voice is hoarse from shouting. You did this. You created this environment. You drove everyone away with your constant judgment and criticism. I was just pointing out problematic behavior. No, Ellen. You were attacking people for living their lives. Michael looks around at the crowd of coworkers. Does anyone here disagree? Has anyone here not been made to feel terrible by Ellen's constant corrections? Awkward silence. People looking at the floor. Nobody speaks up to defend me. See that, Ellen? Nobody wants to defend you because nobody enjoys interacting with you anymore. Maybe they're just afraid to speak up about social justice issues. Or maybe they're tired of being lectured every time they open their mouths. I look around at the faces of my coworkers. I see uncomfortable expressions, averted eyes, tense body language. I realize that every single person here has experienced what Michael is describing. I feel a moment of something that might be recognition, but then the anger returns. These people are choosing comfort over consciousness. They're prioritizing their feelings over addressing real social problems. They want to maintain their privilege without being challenged. You know what, Michael? I think this conversation has revealed more about all of you than about me. What the hell does that mean? It means you're so invested in maintaining the status quo that you'll demonize anyone who challenges you to think critically. Michael stares at me in disbelief. You still don't get it even now, even after all of this. I get it perfectly. You want me to stop pointing out problematic behavior so you can all feel better about yourselves. Ellen, you are the problem. His voice cracks with frustration. We are telling you directly and explicitly that your behavior is making everyone miserable. And you still think we're the ones who need to change because these issues matter more than your comfort. Our well-being matters too. Our right to enjoy our workplace matters too. I stand up and look around at everyone watching. I'm sorry that being asked to examine your privilege makes you uncomfortable, but that discomfort means the conversations are necessary. Several people shake their heads and start walking away. Michael looks defeated. Ellen, I give up. We all give up. You will never understand what you've done because you're so convinced, Vince, that you're morally superior that you can't see how you're hurting people. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm trying to help. Your help is unwanted, unasked for, and harmful. He starts gathering his things. And that's why we don't talk to you anymore, Ellen. That's why we stick to work topics and nothing else, because every personal interaction with you becomes an ordeal. So you're choosing ignorance. We're choosing peace. He walks away, followed by the rest of the crowd. I stand there alone in the cubicle area. I feel the silence settle around me like a heavy blanket. I realize that this is my reality now. Cold professionalism, careful distance, calculated avoidance. I walk back to my desk and sit down. I stare at my computer screen without seeing it. I think about Jake considering a transfer. I think about Tom avoiding projects with me. I think about Alex eating lunch in his car. I think about Robert going home stressed every day. For just a moment, I wonder if maybe I could have handled things differently. I wonder if there might have been ways to address these issues without making everyone so angry. I wonder if I really have been making people miserable. But then I shake my head. These are important issues that need to be addressed. If people are uncomfortable confronting their biases, that's not my fault. If they choose to avoid me rather than do the difficult work of self-examination, that's their problem. I spend the rest of the week in this new reality. Professional interactions only. No casual conversation, no personal stories, no friendly banter, just the bare minimum. Communication required to get work done. And I tell myself this is their loss, not mine. Months pass in this pattern. The silence becomes normal. I learn to eat lunch alone, work independently, avoid the break room. I tell myself I'm maintaining my principles while everyone else chooses ignorance. I convince myself that their hostility proves I'm making important points. I never apologize. I never acknowledge that maybe my approach was wrong. I never consider that there might have been better ways to address these issues. I never admit that I might have been hurting people I cared about. I just maintain that I was right and they couldn't handle being challenged. Because admitting otherwise would mean admitting that I destroyed my own workplace relationships. Admitting that I prioritized being right over being kind. Admitting that I cared more about making points than making friends. And that's something I'm not prepared to do. So I continue working in silence, surrounded by people who avoid me. Isolated by my own actions, but still convinced that I'm the enlightened one. And they're all just too fragile to handle the truth. If this confession kept you hooked, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We share powerful true stories every day that explore the complex realities of life.